Hi guys, welcome in this new video. In today's video we have really crazy news, really good news, because Linux this month has reached its new all-time high at 4.45% market share. Now this is huge news, and I also wanna dive deeper into some other statistics about Linux percentage, because it's very exciting, it's very great news. So the chart has to update. It generally updates like on the second day of the month. As you can see, this is still the first day of the month. Usually around the second or the third day or of the month it updates. But we already have the new statistics here, and we went from 4% last month to 4.45%. So this is a 10% increase in market share. Like, this is huge, 10% increase in 1 month. Okay, then Chrome OS went down from 2.44% on May to just 1.41%. Like, it lost close to half of its user base. I don't know why. Maybe I've heard that they've announced that they will close Chrome OS, like they will delete Chrome OS in the future. I don't know. I've heard something like that, so this might be the reason. I don't know. But also, from what I know, Chrome OS was used mostly by schools. So yeah, maybe schools are just adopting Linux, or maybe they're just not adopting Chrome OS anymore. We also have a huge 7% of unknown, which might contain as well Linux users, macOS users, Windows users, whatever, okay, users. Windows has gotten down from June 72% to 72.81% to just a 72 basically percent. So close to a point down, Windows is. macOS is down, not by that much. But Linux has grown 10% this month. Like, these are millions and millions of users. Like, this 10% contains millions of users. Like, there are billions of computers. So just having a 4.45% and a 0.45% increase in market share means millions and millions of computers have shifted. And it's crazy because Linux doesn't come pre-installed in basically anything. There are a couple of companies, but they're very small. They create laptops with Linux. They're very small, so you usually never see Linux laptops on the shelf, okay, in your local store. I've never seen them. So it's crazy. Like, these millions of people, hundreds of millions of people, I bet this is more than 100 million people for sure, we have installed Linux manually. Like, we have put the effort into installing Linux manually. So it's very nice, okay, it's very nice. Also, what I want to show you is India has a 16% Linux usage. Basically, no one uses macOS. Chrome OS, very small usage. But Linux is at 16%, and it's on its all-time high, even in India. Like, we are at an all-time high globally, but we are also at an all-time high in India, because last month it was 15.24%. Now it's at 16.21%, so it's a point higher than before in just 1 month. And Windows is going down by about 2 points in the meantime. A lot of unknown operating system in India too, but that's crazy. Like, India has more than 1 billion people, okay, if I'm correct. Let's see. India has, oh my god, 1.5 billion population. It's already surpassed China, so it's the most populated country in the world. So there are for sure 1 billion computer in India, so 16% is more than 100 million computers by my calculations, okay? So it's a lot of computers. But what's even more crazy is that if we go to Norway, let's find it, Norway, we have 29% Linux usage. Now, I don't know what happened. Also, we have only 1% unknown in Norway. Like, if we see last month, we had 18% Linux market share in Norway, which is already huge. Then, now 29%? Like, that's just crazy. It's just crazy. Like Windows went down 10%. They all switched to Linux. Now, I don't know if this was like an error, but if it's not, and Linux is used by about 30% of the population in Norway this month, that's some crazy numbers. Like, that's some crazy numbers. And it's crazy because we literally had in Norway 3% on September 2023, and now a year later we have 30%. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck happened this month? Everyone switched to Linux. Like, last month we had Windows at 61%. This month is at 51% in Norway. So literally 10% decrease and 10% increase, more than 10% increase on Linux. It's crazy. It's crazy. But this is all good for us. More companies are going to notice Linux and are going to stop ignoring Linux, because when you have countries that have 30% market share, when you have countries like India that has 1.5 billion people, is the most popular country in the world, and they have 16% market share, plus worldwide we are at 4.4% with huge growth. Like, they can't ignore Linux anymore. Like, they will be at a loss by ignoring Linux. Like, we can all agree on that. And also, these very good statistics might also mean that we can reach 5% by the end of this year. Like, 5% globally is huge. I can't stress this enough. Like, there are billions of computers in this earth, okay? At the moment, active now. Like, right now, there are billions of computers active in the world. Basically, everyone has a computer in their house. Everyone has a computer, like, whether it's a laptop or not. Most of the people have a computer in their house. Everyone has a computer. Even in less developed, quote-unquote, less developed country like India, most people there even have computers. Like, they have computers. They might not be the most powerful computer in the world, but they still have computers, they still run Linux, they still have internet. Like, they are a huge contributor to this market share rise. Some people say that, oh, the Steam Deck, like the Steam Deck is the cause of this 4.45%, but for sure the Steam Deck has increased a little bit the market share, but it's for sure also not hugely relevant when we're looking at the global market share. Like, the Steam Deck may have sold millions of copies, but like, we have billions of computers. So let's say that the Steam Deck has sold 5 million copies. A lot of Steam Decks. But then we have billions and billions of computers, right? How much does like 5 million Steam Decks influence billions, okay, of computers in these statistics? Like, we're talking about billions. Like, the Steam Deck might be like 0.10% at max, okay, in these Linux statistics. I don't think it's more than that. This is literal people that have installed Linux in their computer and they are probably enjoying it. Now, that doesn't mean that every month it will grow, like as we have so. We have hit 4% on March, then it went down to 3.88, and then it went back up. So it's fluctuating, but if the trend is overall positive, it's crazy. It's crazy good. Like, let's see, from 2020, okay, let's start from 2020 till now. Let's view the chart, and we can all see some things by this chart. So we have sorted from 2020. Windows was at 77%. Now Windows is at 72%. Okay, so 5% less market share. A lot has went to Linux, of course. Then we also have some people that went to macOS, but as you can see, like, macOS was at 17% on 2020, now it's at 14%, so yeah, really it just decreased. A lot of these, I think, went to either unknown or Linux. Okay, a lot of the Windows market share that have left Windows have gone to unknown or Linux. Then we have had this period where Windows was at its lowest. May 2023, 62%. macOS was at its highest. I don't know what caused that, but then it recovered. But it's still, Windows is still on a down trend. while Linux is trending higher. Like, let's remove all this bullshit, let's just see Linux. We have went from 1.9% January 2020 to 4.45%. Okay? We have more than doubled the number. Okay? And if we go from like 2018, let's see from 2018. Linux was at 1.43. Okay? It's crazy. Let's see the last statistics. If we start from 2016, January 2016. Because I want to show you something. No, I didn't mean to do that. Okay. Linux. So, from 2016, Linux was at 1.47%. On 2020, Linux was at 1.9%. So in this span of 4 years, from 2016 to 2020, Linux has grown about 0.5%. But you can already see the mountain here. If we go from 2020 to 2024, so another 4 years, then we have more than doubled the market share that we had at January 2020. So in this first year, these first 4 years from 2016-2020, we just increased about 0.5% in these 4 years. But in the latest 4 years, from 2020 to 2024, we have increased 2.5 points. Something is happening, the shift is happening, and this might also already be the year of the Linux desktop. Like, we are breaking all-time high records every month, basically. Like, it's crazy. Linux has grown a lot. You can see the growth that is trending, the trend of the growth. We can all see that. This is all positive. I'm so fucking happy. This is great news, and it will only get better. And on a last note, what this market share increase means, it means a better experience for everyone. Better fundings for the open source project, more donors. It means companies getting interested in Linux, in developing for Linux, in making native Linux versions. I'm still waiting for an FL Studio Linux version, native Linux version. I'm still waiting for a lot of plugins with a native version. Like, this is through Wine. As you can see, I had some black lines. There's a graphical glitch from the new 555 drivers from NVIDIA. I'm also on Wayland now. Like, a lot of these programs work with Wine, but they're not ideal, okay? They're not ideal. There are a couple of glitches that might not be able to be fixed, or at least now, for now. So I'm patiently waiting for a native FL Studio version, and it will arrive. Like, it will arrive. If you have a program in mind, even Adobe software, they will come for Linux. They will come for Linux. Once Linux is at like 6-7%, why wouldn't they make their product available for Linux too? They would be idiots. They would be losing a ton of money. Like, already this 4.45% market share is already hundreds of millions of computers. Okay? It's hundreds of millions of computers worldwide, this number. So they are really losing market share on hundreds of millions of products, of computers. Okay? The more Linux grows, the more funding the open source projects have, the more developers, okay, gets interested into developing for these open source projects. So the faster the growth, the faster the bettering, like the faster the projects get better, and the faster we grow as a community, and the faster programs get supported by Linux. Like Studio One, which is another DAW, also has a Linux native version, and it's a very recent thing. They sadly only have a deb version, so I can't install it on Manjaro, but still progress, right? That's still progress. So I'm confirming you that one day we'll have basically all software that is compatible with Windows will be compatible with Linux. One day. I don't know when, I'm not making predictions, but I think it's sooner than later, okay? I think we're growing a lot, and we will continue to grow. And we also might reach 5% by the end of this year. But that's all for today's video. Linux, great news, and we see you in the next one.